Rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So just remain standing, please, with a moment of prayer for former two-term town board member Dennis Zack, who's also our police commissioner and a retired Westchester County police detective. Thank you all. Please be seated.
Councilmember Totino?
Present.
Councilmember Pristula?
Present.
Councilmember Rye?
Present.
Supervisor Alton?
I'm here. I'd like to amend the agenda to add items of special consideration to hire a court clerk, vote on a resolution for the Verizon contract and the settlement for that fence issue on 9D by Magnolia. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is Town Board regular meeting, April 1st, 2026, 7 p.m. to accept the minutes. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Introduction of new employees. Besides police officers, is there anybody else here getting hired today? Commissioner?
We had a highway guy, didn't we?
I don't know.
Where's the highway guy?
The part-time guy?
Good evening, Town Board Supervisor. We're here tonight to ask the board to accept and hire 3 police officers, along with promoting 3 sergeants into the rank of sergeant. The 3 police officers that are coming here to us tonight have a total of about 45 years of law enforcement experience. Along with the 3 sergeants that we're looking to promote tonight, there are a total of 81 years of law enforcement experience. So the experience that we have in our police department here in the town is second to none, in my opinion. And we thank the board for continuing supporting us in hiring these people. I'm going to turn this over to the chief. The chief's going to introduce the officers along with the sergeants being promoted. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
The first officer tonight, Jabez Khan. He has 20 years in the New York City Police Department, a variety of different units, including housing, Patrol Borough Queens, the mounted unit, which is not everybody gets to ride a horse in the police department. And he was a sergeant for the New York City Police Department before he has come to us. So we're very happy to be presenting him. The second officer is Stephanie Higgins. She was a New York State trooper. She worked right here in Dutchess County. She had a specific expertise and focus on commercial vehicle enforcement. When she was in Dutchess, she did some great work there, so we're going to try and harness some of that experience as well. She retired from the state police in 2023, so we're happy to have her. And third, we have Andre Frontis, who is a detective currently in the Wallkill Police Department. And full disclosure, he went to the police academy that I ran just a few years ago, but he's got a good 5 years, so we know he's well trained, if nothing else, right?
Okay.
Let me down. Where'd he go? So those are our 3 officers. The 3 officers that we would like to promote to sergeant start with Officer Russell Tompkins. Officer Tompkins has more than 20 years of law enforcement experience also. He worked here in Dutchess County for the town of Poughkeepsie, where he was a sergeant, a tech sergeant, and then a lieutenant. So we're going to leverage some of his understanding of data systems. He's very competent with data management, which is becoming an increasing issue for law enforcement everywhere. So that's Officer Tompkins. Second is Officer Taylor. Officer Taylor was a New York City police officer for more than 20 years, also worked for the Orange County Sheriff's Office. And he has been with us for several years as well. He is an exemplary officer in every way. On Saturday night, I actually backed him at a reported burglary in progress, and I got to tell you, complete faith in the way he handled that call, not just with our agency, but with troopers and sheriffs who were assisting us in what eventually became an arrest. So that was a very nice job. Officer Knack is not able to be here with us tonight. Tom Knack started in the New York City Police Department, but later became a sergeant in the Briarcliff Manor Police Department. His advantage is that he's worked in an agency similar size and mission to ours, so he's got a lot of experience running those our-size squads. So we're very lucky to be presenting all 3 of those to you for your consideration tonight.
Greg, any questions for the chief?
No questions for the chief.
No,
No, I'm good.
Councilman Lowry.
I think I looked through everybody's resume, new hires and people that are being promoted, and we have a great addition in every regard, and I'm very excited about it. I think that everything that you're going through to make sure we get the right people, presented to the board for hiring is really fantastic. I know it's a heck of a job. I'd like to take just a minute per and have a chat with each, because I think it's important for the community to see our new officers most especially. So I'd like to ask Stephanie Higgins if she would come up. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello, sir.
I couldn't help but notice New York State Park Police. Of course, I'm reiterating what the chief just said. New York State Parks, Taconic Region, Columbia County Sheriffs, and with the trooper. And we're glad that you found Fishkill and are here and will be working. I just am pleased to have talked to you before the meeting, and I'm glad you're going to be a part of the team. So.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Good. Fantastic. Anybody else got anything?
Welcome aboard.
Jabez Kong.
Good evening.
You were in New York City Police, Housing, Borough Queens, Mounted Unit.
Yes.
Did you ever deal with auxiliary police officers on the Mounted Unit?
So the Parks Department will have auxiliary members.
Okay.
At the time, we didn't have any auxiliary members for the New York City Police Department mounted unit.
So when I lived in the city, I applied for that because I noticed this. I went, oh boy. So I come from the South. I was raised riding Western, roping, everything else. They put me on a horse that's trained riding English. That horse, let's just put it this way, did not want me on his back. So I didn't make it to the auxiliary. But that was great. You're really terrific, and thank you, and welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Andre. A little story. I witnessed his mother primping and preening him in the parking lot, and I thought, this is somebody that's going to be excellent. He was raised right. Andre, bachelor's degree, criminal justice, awesome, New York State Parks, public safety, Rangers, town of Wallkill. You have a great resume, and you're a really fine individual, and I'm glad you're going to be on our force.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to being here.
All right. Can we talk with Jesse Taylor real quick? How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. I know our citizens love seeing our police department, those who are being hired and those who are already established. I'm just reading your resume. It's quite interesting in that you've been very, very involved in a lot of different things. You've retired from NYPD.
Correct.
So you brought a lot of experience with you. And we talked before, you worked the graveyard shift, as it were, and that's a heavy-duty thing, but you're going to be sergeant, and that's terrific. We're proud of you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Like working here.
And that's it. And Russell Tompkins. Come on up, Russell. Began in 2002, City of Beacon Police Department. That wasn't too far away. Town of Poughkeepsie. You were a sergeant, technical sergeant. What's a technical sergeant?
We switched over all the software programs to what the county currently uses. On most of the agencies now use New World. So we had all in-house software systems. So we switched over to about 10 off-the-shelf software systems. So for a year, I worked on switching over the police department, evidence storage, records, arrest processing, everything that's done had to be switched over. So for a year, I was assigned to that.
Oh, this will be good once we get the, some technical upgrade with body cams. Good little in-house technical there. And you became lieutenant, and you've been on the police force since 2022, and we're proud of you and thank you for your great service to the town.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to swear them all in right now?
Sir, that's up to you.
Okay, so let's swear them all in front of the seal. And if I got somebody that want to put the badge on them, they can bring them up too.
I'm not going to ruin the photo, so I'm going to move to the side.
sergeants over here.
Scott, you stand here.
Yeah.
And your loved ones can put their names on there.
Unless you want to come to work for us, we have one more meeting.
Yeah, I don't want to meet you right now.
This is family, I think, for the photo.
Just like that. Just like that.
I don't know that we're.
No. So you swear in, and then their loved ones can put their badges on and they can. So I'm just gonna say it, when it gets to the name, you say your name and what the position is, and then if you can sign the book, you gotta sign the book, okay? I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of
Police officer.
to the best of my ability. Okay, congratulations, you guys are in. Thank you. Short, Congratulations. So you guys want to? Come on. This is how we do it. All right.
Good looking bunch of people.
We're gonna get a picture of her. Sorry, you gotta deal with it.
Got it? Everybody good? Thank you all for coming.
Pleasure, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Congratulations. Thank you. Good job.
Copy yourself right here.
Five signatures.
Okay. Congratulations.
You got it. Thank you. Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Right.
All right, just want me to call, I think this board calls on the board, so let's get to work. Not just me.
Hey, Scott, close the door when they get out. All right, next up is privilege of the floor for general time items. You can speak about anything regarding the town of Fishkill.
Good evening, board members. As you know, my name is Erin Stein. I live at 233 Route 9D in Beacon, next to the Duchess Manor. Since the last meeting that I attended with you all, there have been several developments with the Hudson Highland Fjord Trail, and I just wanted to touch base on them with you really quick. The Wade lot has moved forward. They've cleared out about 2.5 acres in the area that they're going to put a 90-spot parking lot, and that started to happen. Cold Spring and Phillipstown have filed an Article 78 against New York State Parks regarding the process of reviewing the secra for HHFT. And then something you might not know, which is actually super interesting, is that DEC just released their new visitor use studies of the Adirondack State Parks and Catterskill Falls last week. At the meeting that I attended, Supervisor Albra, you encouraged Hudson Island Fjord Trail to reconnect directly with the neighbors regarding the parking proposal. There has been no follow-up or outreach on behalf of them, and any of us directly impacted, which I think is important to acknowledge. What's interesting is that in HHFT's public response to the filing of Article 78, Peter Mullen stated that the project has made every effort to nurture a collaborative partnership. That's a quote from him. I want to offer a different perspective on that. From our direct experience, engagement has been limited and has not reflected true collaboration. So key elements, like the reason why I'm here today, 2 years ago when I came in front of you, I found out, we live right next to the project, we had been engaging with them about the trail in the backyard, we had been good neighbors and thought we had a great collaborative relationship with them. I found out about the Wade lot from a neighbor that didn't live nearby. And the same day I found out about that was the day that the Fjord Trail was asking us for more property to purchase from us. And we said, absolutely not. We just found out about this parking lot. This is before we even knew about 14 Course Lane. That prompted the first meeting. They didn't come to us proactively to say, hey, let's work together on this. And then at the consequent meeting for all of us that were there, then they mentioned the overflow parking lot that they wanted to build there. We've had statements said to us such as, Erin, you're not gonna get everything you want. And then most recently it's been, we can negotiate, but in the end we're going to disagree. So these are not statements from an organization that wants to work with the neighbors that are there. And we're often reacting to the decisions rather than being part of shaping them. And so I think the lack of outreach continues to have that same sort of pattern rather than coming off a really intense meeting that we all had and never hear anything from them. Which brings me to Mr. Citino, you asked for numbers. And I don't know if they gave them parking numbers or the justification for why they needed so much parking. You wanted to see some data. And I don't know if they gave them to you or they didn't, but I found it interesting that Peter Mullen had stated publicly that my numbers that I had been providing you were inaccurate, which is confusing given that they come from the EAF that they submitted as well as the DGEIS that they submitted. What concerns me is that they've used a lot of anecdotal figures when they come to meetings where they say 250 cars were parked at the Duchess Manor, or 250 people were parked on the side of that road that was really busy. If those numbers were true, then they would have been part of the submission. Did they park 250 cars at the manor once in a blue moon? It happened twice in 75 years due to like a state trooper had passed away and there was a larger than anticipated crowd. It ended up on the private land. They had also stated during the planning board meeting that the overflow parking lot for the manor was the front yard of 14 Chorus. That also is not true. So we had to constantly repeat during that process, like just right sizing what the information was. So I just wanted to make sure, regardless of what they said to you, all the numbers that I share with you and that I will share again following this up is from their submissions that were there. If we're already seeing illegal parking that they continue to lean on, that's not going to change if the parking increases. As I mentioned before, the National State Parks had stated that when you add parking, it always fills to capacity. So if it fills to capacity, that means that more people will come and then they will still have excess people looking for spots. Illegal parking will still be happening. And what's interesting is that they didn't figure in, and they haven't come to any of you, Town of Fishkill, Cold Spring, Beacon, about increase in emergency services. They're not doing that. And I don't need a degree in urban planning or development to understand if you're going to anticipate 600,000 to over 1 million people coming here, to not say you're going to need emergency services is really short-sighted. So this brings me to the new piece that I had brought up. I'm going to save you $600,000, or maybe more, depending on what the year is. The DEC just completed this study. It was a $600,000 spend. They brought in a expert consultant from Oregon, which has a lot of outdoor activities there. They studied the Adirondacks, which has a visitation management issue, as well as Fishkill Falls. Across both reports, in multiple sections, the approach is consistent. Managing use by scaling back and controlling parking, not by expanding it. They discuss limiting parking supply, reduce overflow, and in some cases, actively decreasing the amount of parking used to access high demand areas. What's important is how those challenges are being addressed. The approach is not to continue expanding parking to meet demand, it is to manage demand, and that includes setting capacity limits, controlling parking supply, and using tools like shuttles and managed access. And that brings us to this decision that's going to be in front of you at some point. I'm assuming that since I emailed with you, Supervisor Albra, we still haven't seen a application for the zoning?
Yeah, so the Duchess Manor is right next door to it on the southern lot. There's a separate house that they want a rezoning for, and only the town board can rezone that, and has not been brought to the town board. And I advise them not to bring it to the town board until they resolve the issues with this group.
Yeah. So the proposed zoning change at 14 Course enables a 100-spot overflow lot. They already have gotten approved 67 spots right at the manor, which is RB zoned already, so they can build that out. So that's the current lot plus an expansion in the front of it, so that'll accommodate 67 spaces. And as I mentioned, that's in addition to 90 at the new Wade lot, 80 at the new Notch lot, 105 still at Breakneck. That's going to be parallel parking. That doesn't go away. That's just reduced slightly. And if my memory serves me, with all of that minus the overflow, you're still looking at 342 spots compared to 178 that exist today, and that is a 94% increase in parking. So this is an opportunity to take all of this data, all of the data that DEC's already paid money for. The National Park study that was done in 2020 that said very similar outcomes in their control of visitation management, and use this to make decisions now to prevent those same issues from taking hold here. It's a chance to plan with intention and wisdom, using what we already know rather than reacting later when the impacts are harder and more costly to address. So given this feels like a moment to be deliberate about the scale and to ensure that what is approved today aligns with a sustainable path forward. And I want to reiterate, nobody in this room is saying, stop the park. Nobody's saying that. We're just asking for responsible, sustainable planning that sets this project up for long-term success and creates balance between residents and visitors, and also gives them a really good experience. Visitors coming here to an overcrowded area are not going to have a good time. It's not going to be pleasant. And then the neighbors, of course, on top of it, or the people that live in Beacon and Cold Spring are dealing with this influx. It's going to be too much. So we just ask that the board carefully consider whether this level of parking expansion, that overflow lot, is necessary, because the way that we're looking at the data, it's just going to cause more problems. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Sir? Come on.
Good evening. My name is Tom Steves. I live at 29 Slocum Road near the Duchess Manor, and I just wanted to speak a little bit about the manor. I've attended numerous meetings about the manor. I haven't spoken before, and I just thought I should say something. I'm here to voice my opposition to the expansion of parking at Duchess Manor and the rezoning of Chorus Lane. I have no objection to the restoration of the manor itself. I attended the planning board meetings for that, and I think it's very thoughtfully conceived. It's a beautiful project. My concern is that it's being offered, if you will, as a bit of a quid pro quo for a very substantial transformation and escalation of the traffic and visitation on 9D. As you know, the conservative estimates for visitation as a result of the Fjord Trail are, I don't know, anywhere from 250,000 to possibly up to 1 million. And my feeling is that the changes to the manor are occurring basically to create a tourist hub for the surrounding trails, with the extra parking, 200 spaces, food trucks, the shuttle buses, the lighting, the bathroom facilities to serve the surrounding trails. So that's not a restoration project. It's a full-scale commercial operation that's going to be taking place in the middle of a comparatively sparsely populated natural landscape that is actually a historically important landscape for the nation that I personally believe should be preserved and protected. So I'm not going to go into a whole sort of historical context of the Hudson Highlands, but as you probably know, it spawned the first major artistic movement in the nation, which is an important aspect of the nation's history. And what remains of that wild landscape at one time in our own country and around the world was basically the embodiment of what was great and unique about our country. It was a very important thing at one time. So for perhaps a few of you, that's kind of an overly romantic view of our neighborhood, but for me, that's the context in which these changes are taking place and that you're effectively adjudicating. So I understand, obviously, that in your review of the Manure project, you are not adjudicating the trail project, but the decisions that you take will have a very important impact on the Fjord Trail and our experience of the impact of the Fjord Trail as residents of your community. And so I'm hoping that, obviously, that will be foremost in your mind. So regarding the parking expansion, Aaron has previously spoken about that, and I won't take up your time, other than to say there's no justification, proportional justification for the expansion and planning that's being proposed, unless your goal is to increase visitation to the 90 corridor and generate income. And that's, as you've heard, exactly what parking does on the basis of the National Parks studies. And I'm not going to go into that again. You've heard it numerous times. A further point that came to my personal attention in the meeting we had back in March was that HHST is using expansion of paid parking to generate income for themselves. And for me, that's a very important point. That effectively places them in a conflict of interest. They were formed as an organization to preserve the landscape and protect the environment, and they've now transformed themselves into an organization that is effectively trying to impose a structured streetscape along the wild banks of the Hudson River. And for me, that's a very unpleasant prospect. So they're expanding their parking in order to draw visitors to their streetscape and generate income for themselves. And so that's a complete inversion of their original goals. And I think a lot of that, of what is driving the support for the project is the expectation of economic benefits to our communities. And I would just point out that I think those are overstated. Those economic benefits, and there are some, they also come at enormous cost to the community. The type of visitor who is coming for the Fjord Trail is typically a day tripper from the New York City environment. They're coming by car, they're creating congestion, and what money they are spending is typically on quick meals or small items. It's not a huge amount of income that's being generated for the volume of traffic that you're going to have in this area. And that massive tourist pressure then in turn transforms the community. The businesses that previously served our community are transformed into tourist-facing operations. And we lose the character of our community and a community that we can feel at home in. And that process has actually happened around the world in sites of natural beauty or historic towns. And that has spawned a movement to counter that through laws and organization. And so the proposal that you're debating or adjudicating effectively flies in the face of major trends in the management of tourism, which is to try to reverse or restrict projects such as the Fjord Trail. You're actually going in the opposite direction. I'm not going to talk about the massive crowds up on the trails in the mountains. I can tell you horror stories about campfires and people smoking on the trails and ATV tracks and Kleenex and excrement on the trails. Fortunately, people who are wiser are attempting to reverse that. As you heard from Aaron, the national parks, to their credit, are now trying to restrict access to the more popular trails. They're going in exactly the opposite direction of what is being proposed for the Fjord Trail. So, in conclusion, I would just hope to point out that zoning protections exist for a reason, and I urge you to rise to what is obviously a very difficult task given the pressures you are under. But I urge you to reject the proposal to rezone Chorus Lane to expand parking. You know perfectly well you're the stewards of our community, and you're also the stewards of what's left of our surrounding landscape. And if that is allowed to be destroyed, it's not coming back, it's gone. And so you, the board, with your decision regarding the matter, while not instigating that loss, are still considering an option to potentially acquiesce to it and participate in the process that leads to that loss. So I hope that each of you will keep that thought foremost in your minds and act accordingly to preserve the integrity of our community and what remains of our wild landscape. Thank you for your attention.
What's your name again?
Tom Steves.
Very good. Thank you for your work.
So, Mr. Nugent, if we do a zoning change, we have to set a public hearing, correct?
Well, yeah, there's two ways it can happen. Either the town board can initiate a zoning change or a property owner petitions the town. Either way, there would have to be a public hearing. The only difference is in the case of a petition, as you well know from our prior legal case, it is up to the board, its discretion, whether or not to consider that zoning amendment. There's no obligation to do so.
And the town board doesn't have to consider it ourselves, correct?
No, in other words, you could choose to do it yourselves, but if you don't choose to do that, then it's by form of a petition from a property owner, and that you don't have to consider.
So if we don't want to put this on the agenda, we just don't have to?
No, you don't.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
And there's
guys, if you're here,
no workaround.
if you're here to speak about the zoning of that house, we're not going to set a public hearing. We're not going to do any of that stuff. And if that ever happened to have a public hearing, then you can come and speak about it at that time. Because this gentleman pretty much made the point, and Erin made her point. We get it. Okay? If you see a public hearing, then you all get your friends and come here and make your voice heard. But I don't plan on putting anything on the town board agenda until you guys are happy.
Nor do I.
Okay?
Nor do I.
That's three right there, so.
I've ridden with police officers down there during the summertime. I think I've made this point, and it's jammed already. I mean, I already know this. And one of the things I pointed out to the gentleman from the trail, as you know, I asked him if he was going to have park police or anybody there, so we don't have to worry about our police, filling in the gap. And I didn't get an answer on that, so.
And in response to a question that was posed to me, I have not had any correspondence of any kind from the gentleman since the night of his presentation. So I have no numbers that were requested that would establish a legitimate need, nor any response to my point that it is in the interest of the Fjord Trail, as they will be collecting parking fees, to have as many parking spaces as possible. I've received no counter-argument to that either.
Okay?
We have one person that just wants to say one thing.
Okay.
She's a national treasure. So.
Okay.
Certainly.
National treasure? You look like a treasurer.
Can't keep anyone from speaking. We're just establishing we're on your side.
My name is Tina Seeger, and I live in Dutchess Junction.
Can you speak a little louder?
My name is Tina Seeger. I live in Dutchess Junction near the Wadesbrook parking lot and the trail. Okay. So I've written to Scenic Hudson before, asking to please not use glyphosate, the chemical in Roundup, or cut down trees on a trail when a winding trail around them would be more attractive and inspiring. Now I'm adding, please do not bury plastic netting or any plastic that will never disintegrate, but will become trash that's hard to remove once the tree roots grow in it. It will be a hazard to the snakes that go through it and they get caught. Snakes and turtles return to their place of birth every year. They need a clear path. We have endangered rattlesnakes on the mountain and copperheads and many turtles and bear. Scenic Hudson is laying down heavy plastic netting to keep down the weeds. Plastic lasts forever. Please remove it now if it's in or stop using it. And hold back on so much metal fencing. It's not pleasant to look at or look through, and animals have a hard time crossing it. I've already seen a wildcat dead against a fence on 9D, confused as to where to go. This Scenic Hudson began as a conservation organization to protect the mountains and the views in the valley. All good. While Clearwater was started as an environmental organization promoting ecology and fighting various environmental causes. My parents, Pete and Toshi Seeger, were friends with some of the founders of Scenic Hudson, my mother in particular with Franny Reese, and my father and mother with many of the Scenic Hudson founders. Scenic Hudson and Clearwater had slightly different objectives. Clearwater was supporting civil rights by protecting the environment in the large sense of the word. Nature, animals, people, the earth, promoting balance in nature and ecology. And Scenic Hudson wanted to preserve what we have, the mountains and the natural views. But they did not go so far as to speak out for civil rights, the rights of a river as a living entity, fighting chemical and pesticide pollution, or Native American treaty renewals, which do come up with Clearwater. Both organizations were founded after Rachel Carson's book Silent Spring came out in 1962. A woman, Rachel Carson, was the catalyst for the entire environmental movement, not my father or Clearwater or Scenic Hudson. Her book told the public for the first time that DDT was dangerous and killing the birds. My father read it, looked at the dirty Hudson, and wanted to clean it up. He also sang a song about the coyotes being poisoned by strychnine. He was concerned with ecology, creating a balance between everything, nature and humans and animals. Most importantly, he believed in environmental justice, that a clean environment is a civil right, and that it was racist to dump chemicals and burn trash in inner cities or pollute Indian reservations with nuclear waste, or to have Jim Crow laws in the South. So Clearwater went a little further and was started because Scenic Hudson hesitated to consider protecting human beings, advocating for Storm King Mountain and the Hudson views, but not all parts of the environment. That said, it's never too late to change. Perhaps we could invite Scenic Hudson to look at their past, think about their business and tourism and moneyed approach to this trail a little more deeply. Can they consider that making an ecologically unsound trail that is ignoring the very reason the trail was constructed, which was as a trail for the disabled, first and foremost, not for business reasons, is something they might want to rectify sooner than later? Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. May I add on a personal note, meeting your father and having him teach me how to play This Land Is Your Land on the guitar, one of the defining moments of my time in 5th grade.
Oh, I'm happy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good evening. Don't fall, man. Hit the podium.
That's my worst nightmare, falling. I'm Fred Cantor from Little League. I'd like to invite you all to our opening day parade, May 2nd, starting from Brinkerhoff School and marching to Shepherd Memorial Park. We're forming up at 8 o'clock. We're going to be marching off at 8:30, and we'll have the ceremony sometime after the T-ballers get to the park, and we'll do whatever, okay? And you're all invited, and
What
so
date?
is all the public.
Saturday, May 2nd.
May 2nd. Okay.
May 2nd, Saturday, and it's going to be hopefully no snow, which we've had in the past, no rain, which we've had in the past, no cold weather, which we've had in the past, and hopefully not too hot.
Right.
All right?
Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
And this will be my 54th march.
God bless. We thank you.
In the same show.
Anybody else like to speak? Mr. Kearney?
Hello, everyone. My name is James Carney. You might have recognized me from the Ozzy interview on Inside Scoop. I am one of the local freelance journalists in town, and I try to cover a lot of the majority of things that aren't covered on the local papers. One of my current projects is with the Continental Commons. I'm interviewing Dominic about the site, and I've come to a lot of controversy through things that have been brought up through townsfolks, through the council, some of the council members here, private citizens, and nothing adds up. But I've done some due diligence research, and I'm just a citizen, but I just wanted to state that I've seen evidence of tampering on the site with either artifacts being planted or dug up and set to be presentable. Evidence of bodies that have been on the site that have been on the top layer of soil that does not equal a grave through the depth of the layer of the, where the anomalies where the body parts were found on the soil. There was one anomaly where I guess there was a coffin, in a sense, with one body that they say they can't be tested because of the condition of the body, but prior to that property was the Van Wyck home, and there were family members there. So there's a big possibility that there could be a family member there. There's no evidence that it was a mass burial, as what it's believed to be. I have not found any proven evidence of that. I've reached out to the Parks Department, and I've asked them, let me pull it up, and I will read it word for word. Is there any official record, designation, or documentation recognized by New York State Parks or affiliated agencies confirming the presence of a Revolutionary War burial site within or near the Continental Commons property? Their response: there is no archaeological documentation confirming the presence of Revolutionary War soldier burials within the Continental Commons property. In this case, it is SHPO's understanding that the 0.4 acre Continental Commons Historic Cemetery will be avoided by the proposed project and protected. So right there shows that there was an anomaly. It is being preserved because you don't want to test, you know, it's disrespectful for whatever it is there. But for the people that are saying there are hundreds, if not thousands of bodies there, I'm not sure where anywhere else in the country, if that has been proposed, that it's been ignored. Our history is built on, you know, the foundation of this country. We have markers all through Fishkill and the country describing historical significance, especially George Washington's sword, numerous homes throughout the Fishkill. So that being told, I do not believe that there is a burial there on site. There is a lot of evidence that there was former used site for farming. Some of that has been found, such as nails and stuff. But as for burial, especially near a water source and right near where the encampment would be, even back then they had common sense, and I do not believe, and from what evidence has been sent to me, and I'm also asking for anyone out there who has said they have evidence, let's see it please, because this was brought up in the 2000s, I want to say around 2007, 2008, by a certain members of the Fishkill community who started the rumors that this was a burial. Nothing was ever mentioned online in articles anywhere of a mass burial prior to that group of people in 2007, 2008. And that's just where I'm at now. I'm going to continue the project that I'm doing. If anyone has any further things they'd like to give to me, I'd like to include it, so I'm not just going one way. I've asked other organizations to show what they have, you know, so it's not just one-sided, but they don't want to show me or give any of their evidence to show that they are what they're backing. So I don't want it to be one-sided, but that's where I'm at right now with my conclusion of evidence, studying, and everything I could find right now. Thank you.
James. Anybody else?
Hello again, everyone. I'm Dominic Broccoli from Continental Commons. That was the development that James was just talking about. I found some interesting evidence, because Ozzy, you had asked not me, but the public, for any evidence of my property being a soldier cemetery or a family plot, which I believe it is. have a couple of things I'd like to spend.
Thank you, sir.
Go through this with you slowly. Thank you. I hope this document clarifies a lot of the myths that are out there. But first, as everyone knows here, our forefathers fought for life, liberty, and property. It was later changed to happiness, but originally the Constitution was about life, liberty, and property. And I'm here for part that reason, and part because I want the town to respect the dead soldiers of Fishkill and where they're buried. Throughout the years, we've provided the town with multiple archaeological studies, starting from 1968, 72, in the 70s, in 1998, 2000, we did archaeology. 2007 is when they found the graves. Okay, and then in 2008, we did a GPR study to find the limits of the burial ground, which we did. And then in 2013, they did a ground truthing of the burial ground to find the true limits of it. Now, that's the photograph in the front there, first page. That's all the archaeology that was done. We've done about 10 times what's normally required from SHPO, 10 times the archaeology. So it's been extensively studied. We've also submitted historical documents, okay? And the Van Wyck family owned the property before, during, and after the Revolution. There are Van Wyck family members that have passed away, prior to the Revolution. And that's who my archaeologist, who was here at the last meeting in April, believed at the time were buried there. Even in June 5th, Ozzy, you were at that meeting of 2019, my archaeologist, he uncovered, he discussed my archaeology and the fact that people did tamper with my property and that there's no evidence of soldiers being buried on my property. Okay, now this is very important. Ozzy, you gonna follow me or are you just gonna smile? Are you gonna look at?
I see nothing in it that's gonna change my mind, sir.
Okay, all right. So that means you're gonna designate.
I've seen all of this.
Right, but my point is, it sounds to me that you're going to just designate the property as a Revolutionary War cemetery. Because you just said that you were gonna, that you've seen enough.
I saw this. I've read all this. I investigated all this.
No, I just gave it to you. No, this map here on page 2, I've just created it today. How could you have seen it? I just created that today.
You just made it today?
Yes, I
Thank
did. All right. Are you gonna look at it?
I'll look at it.
All right. So, in 1968, Paul Huey, he came to the state sent Paul Huey to the area, not just to my property, but to the area, to look for a mass burial. I spoke about this at the last meeting, and the mass burial was west of Route 9, opposite the Fishkill Historical Society. That's where the cloverleaf was getting put in, and that's where they were looking for a mass burial. You should read the reports instead of rolling your eyes, Ozzy. Now,
you would figure that when they did the cloverleaf, they would find some graves there. They found a bunch of old tires. That's what they found.
Well, I'm just telling you why Paul Huey came here. I can't tell you what was found there. But Paul Huey was sent to Fishkill to look for a mass burial. And I had told you at the last meeting, the owner of the property that we purchased it from, Mr. Raish, he's the one, he told me that he was the one that called a SHPO, or it wasn't called SHPO back then, but the state. Now,
I just want to clear something up. You're telling me that the prior property owner said that the burial ground was at another place?
Across the street.
Got it.
Across the street, he said, that's why he told me.
Understood.
I don't know why, but he told me that he called, he's passed away since, but he called the State Historic Preservation Office, not called that at the time, to examine where the clover leaf is somewhere over there, but they didn't find anything. There were bones, there were a lot of bones on the other side because there were encampments. So the animal bones, people don't know the difference between an animal bone, I guess, and a human burial. But there was a lot of stories of bones on the other side, there's no question about that. I mean, think about it, you had 2,000 soldiers for 8 years camping out. There's going to be a lot of animal carcasses around. The average person, myself included, wouldn't know the difference between a bone and a human bone and an animal bone. But besides that, so back then in 1968, Mr. Paul Huey, he drew a map of the area. And what he did is he inserted the structures that existed in 1968, and he overlaid the Erskine map from 1778. He showed the upper barracks and their relation to the curve that's in front of the Maya Cafe. That curve was almost like a 90-degree curve during the Revolution, okay? So he drew that there, and then what I did, Ozzy, if you look at it, is I put a little black star where the burial ground was discovered in 2007. What that does is it actually shows how close the burial ground, it was within a matter of yards from the upper barracks. Therefore, there was, and then I had told you about von Steuben. His war journal said that dead animals, horses, would be buried a half a mile from the regiment. That document is here. So if you put the historical evidence, which is the von Steuben, why do you say no?
When did von Steuben come to Fishkill?
He was here during the war. He trained the soldiers, didn't he?
What year did he come to Fishkill?
I don't have record of that.
Was he in Fishkill in 1776?
I don't have record of that.
He was not in Fishkill.
He was here during the Revolution, right?
Yes, but continue.
No, maybe you know. You'll help me with some evidence.
I know.
You know Steuben personally?
No, I know Steuben was a German
General? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a general, and he set the rules and regulations for the United States Army, which we still use today.
Okay.
And he did put things like what you just mentioned, but he wasn't here for the whole revolution. He came after the war started. But continue on.
So but he was here during the war. He has a headquarters at the Kip House, if I believe, Ozzy?
Right across the street. And
which is like a mile from my property, as the crow flies.
Well, yeah, but you got to find out what year he was here. You don't know what year he was.
So why would that have any significance? I'm just curious.
Because if the burials took place before he was here, they wouldn't have been adhering to his standards.
So when did the outbreak of smallpox occur and all the soldiers died? Could you answer that question?
No, I'm not answering questions.
No, but I'm saying that happened in 1778. It didn't happen when the war started. Am I correct, Greg? The smallpox epidemic.
Smallpox was an issue for Continental soldiers throughout the duration of the war.
Right, but it didn't happen the day the war started in 1778. So Steuben didn't come here the day after the outbreak.
Before the revolution.
Say that again?
I'd just like to say I'm not here to argue with you.
No, I understand. I'm asking for evidence. See, by gathering evidence like this is how I come to conclusions, but you don't want to respond, so that's okay.
I'm just, my only statement is that smallpox was a very deadly and persistent problem for not only soldiers, but the general population of North America for 150 years prior to the revolution and for some time after.
So you're suggesting that all these soldiers died, they buried them before Steuben came, right next to where they encamp, where their water flow is? That's what you're suggesting?
Listen, I can write up a map like you and bring it
No,
to the
but
attention
my
of the
map
town
is
board.
a documented map. This was in an archaeological report.
You mentioned von Steuben. I don't know what year he got here. I don't know what
You
year
just said
people
you
are
did.
buried.
Okay.
That's all I mentioned.
All right. So, your claim that my property is a Revolutionary War sold, your myth, the myth that was created by the
I'm
town.
not making any claim.
Okay, well, you did. When you put a monument on my property, you kind of did. You said that monument was on my property and it marked the location of a Revolutionary War cemetery. Am I correct?
That's what the monument says.
And it was on my property, you're saying in 1897 it was placed there, right?
Mr. Albert Knapp, who owned both sides of the roads, authorized the town of Fishkill to put it there.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
The town of Fishkill gave, the resolution just says, if you read the resolution, it just says that they gave the DAR permission to place a monument along the road, not on a burial ground, but along the road, south of the village. Am I correct?
And in the DAR monument documents that you have here, that are sourced in the same ones, they thank Mr. Albert Knapp
Yes.
for allowing
Oh,
it
I
to be
know
placed
that.
on there.
Oh, I know
So which
that.
is it?
No, but I said it wasn't in the resolution for the town. They made it, obviously contacted Mr. Knapp. Now, it's interesting. The DAR monument on the second, is that the third page here? Is when it, the top photo is when it was on my property. It was brought to my property in 1911 when they widened the street.
Before that.
I showed you the the DOT map, Mr. Albert, am I correct? So nothing I show you is true. Everything you say is true, and nothing, this is like a kangaroo court. No matter what you say, it doesn't matter. Okay, so when it was on my property, it was facing east. When it was, where it was originally placed was about a third of a mile from where the Maya Cafe property is. It was south, on the west side of Route 9, about a third of a mile south. And I could prove that, and I'll show you. Now, I know this is going to sound a little ridiculous, but the DAR monument that you see in this photo, if you look in the background, you'll see there's cows in the background. Now, if the DAR monument is facing north-south, as I claim here, the shadows of that cow would be on their right or on their left. Either the sun is rising or the sun is setting. So if you're facing north-south, the shadow would be left or right of the monument. If you look there, you'll see the shadows to the right. If the monument was on my property facing east, the monument, and the cows were behind my monument, the monument on my property, the shadow would be behind the cow, not to the right. It's almost like a sundial. Am I correct, Greg? Do you see what I'm talking about?
Greg, we don't know who.
Not really.
We don't know who made that.
Well,
Can I point something out? Maybe you're not aware of this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ozzy.
Sure.
Didn't we pass a resolution that presenters or people speaking are to talk to the board, not to individuals?
Yes. Thank
So
you.
talk
Thank
to,
you.
Well-
please talk to the board, but not single out a.
right, well, when they talk to me, I think it's proper to address that person.
No, I
right?
understand, but I think you started pointing towards Ozzy and it's evolved into other
Oh.
things. So I'm just trying to make it go smooth.
I'll try to do better.
That's all.
No problem. All right, and over here on page 4, I have the DOT map, which shows prior to the DOT purchasing the property from Mr. Knapp. If you look on the corner, back then it was called Highway Johnsville. It wasn't called Van Wyck Lake Road. You'll see that there's no DAR monument there, and after the acquisition, you do see the DAR monument placed on the corner of what is now Van Wyck Lake Road and Route 9. Okay. Now, the photo below is the Erskine map. Right under the DOT is the Erskine map. The Erskine map shows the upper barracks at the bend of the road, which is right where the Maya Cafe is, and the lower barracks are where the redoubts are. There's a monument where the redoubts, so there was a hospital, cemetery, and redoubts at the lower barracks. That was the main hospital at the Fishkill Supply Depot for the soldiers. Here's what I discovered that's very interesting. If you look at this map here, and this is very telling. This map here is from 1789, I believe. Yeah, 1789, and you see how severe the curve of the road, it's not even a curve, it's a sharp turn on the road. Now, if you notice, the 66-mile marker is there, and it's about a third of a mile from the corner of the road. So when you look at the 66-mile marker and you read an excerpt from Mrs. Verplank, she talks about the mile marker. She says, these mountains, this old road with this milestone before us. So that means they were standing at the 66-mile marker during the ceremony. So that's where the DAR monument was placed, Ozzy. I'm sorry, the board. Okay. Now, if you look at page 5, I believe, and you see these two maps here, it shows the curve in the road and it shows where the barracks were. So what I did is I superimposed the barracks behind the DAR marker. So now it occurred to me that the reason the DAR chose that location is because it was facing the upper barracks campground. You understand? That's why it was where it is. So, if you look at the photo here on page whatever, you'll see the monument, and I point out where the Van Wyck Lake Road is. There's an opening in the trees. And then there's, if you look, and I believe, I can't swear by this, it looks like all the way to the far left is the Van Wyck homestead. And this is the field where the barracks were back during the Revolution. If you look at the photo below, you could see that there was a mountain range. Now that mountain range, you would never see from my property. That mountain range is looking to the north. So there's more evidence that the monument was facing north-south, not east-west. Okay, so 2 miles south were the lower barracks. Okay, so you had the upper barracks right across the street from my property, and then you had the lower barracks hospital, which was 2 miles south. That's where the border of Putnam Valley and Fishkill are. Now, you have to understand the landscape and where these structures were, and then when you read the DAR ceremony speeches, then it makes more sense. So now, what people were saying, what you're saying, Ozzy, is if the monument was on my property facing east, the upper barracks are behind the monument, and the cemetery that we discovered is in front of it, or vice versa, what I just said. But that's twisting the historical data. The historical data is the barracks were in front of the monument, but the lower barracks is where the hospital and cemetery is. So if you read now knowing that, you'll see where Butterfield states, the precise spot where we are assembled has particular historic interest. Since in 1776, the Council of Safety of Fishkill caused to erect, at Washington's request, barracks built by the militia of the town and also a hospital. Now, he then says, the barracks were in the field along the village in front of the memorial that we are here to dedicate. Now it makes more sense. And the hospital and cemetery behind it. The only structures during the Fishkill Supply Depot that were behind that monument were the lower barracks hospital and cemetery. Then there's other speeches here where it says yonder he sees the old Dutch church, now it was a prison and things like that, and he starts here at this old campground. He doesn't say we start here at the burial ground. Mrs. Verplank, over there in the village stands the Trinity Church, and within its walls the hospital was established to which the sick and wounded were brought from many miles. Okay? So this is all evidence that the soldiers were buried at Trinity Church and they were buried at the lower barracks. Okay? In the field close to where we are now, gathered those who died in yonder barracks and hospital lie buried. Okay? Yonder hospital lie buried. All right. Then there's the, here, even Mr. Lance Ashworth on August 17th, 2012, acknowledges the lower barracks and the mass burial that he believes is there. But that's not in his Hunter report, nor is that on their website. Another lost burial ground, and Ozzy, you're going to laugh at this one again, as I see you read my document, and I think you should celebrate this for the 250th anniversary, is the Rumbout Cemetery. The Melzinger's chapter gave me their scrapbook. I believe one of the members here went to the library, the Melzinger chapter, and read this information. And this talks about, during the Revolution, it, meaning the church, were used as a hospital. Many soldiers were quartered in the vicinity who were engaged in the assistance and rebuilding of the mill, which was accidentally burned down. It was said that the soldiers at the encampment were all over the church grounds and that they provided themselves with sufficient firewood so they took the panels of the church down as firewood. There was a lack of wood up in Fishkill. They cut down the fine oaks, but stripped the clapboards off the church as high as they could reach. Those who died here, Rumbout Cemetery, were buried near the old hitching post, stood at the side of the burial grounds. Now, the last page here is the GPR study that was done at the Rumbout Cemetery in October of 2017. Okay? It talks about the mass burial areas that were discovered, and because of that, between the mass burials that were discovered and the history of the Rumbout Cemetery, it is believed by the person who did this, Doria Katrubis, that she says these are definitely Revolutionary War soldiers. Now, I was at a meeting when Mr. Paul Dickerman from Rumbout, he was the treasurer, and you had asked him, hey, do you know anything about a mass burial? Now, Paul Dickerman's name is on here. He was given this report, and she did a presentation for the board. So I don't understand why the board of Rumbout is keeping it silent. Why wouldn't you want to share that? As a matter of fact, after that was made public by the Rumbout Cemetery, what was made public was the fact that they found the mass burial of soldiers. Even Mr. Lance Ashworth commented and congratulated them on that discovery. So, when you put together the archaeological evidence and combine it with the historical evidence, you'll see that there are not soldiers buried on my property. For instance, we found a body. That body was encased at one point because it deteriorated, a wooden coffin. The wooden coffin was gone, but the nails were still there. I just read to you how there was a lack of wood during the Revolution. They wouldn't have buried soldiers and wasted wood on soldiers in a burial, number one. Number two, they would have mass burials. That body was buried as a single body in that coffin. So, with that said, I thought I brought you a lot of very good evidence, and if you could take that smirk off your face, that would be nice. But I got to ask you a question, and maybe Mr. Nugent, you could address this. This process that you're creating here, did you go through aren't you normally supposed to go through the planning board, or is it the town planner supposed to be part of this?
This is a privilege before for you to speak, that's it.
Well, if and when Mr. Albra no, I would like to ask him a question.
The citizens of the town of Fishkill pay him, not you.
Oh, okay.
Answer questions.
I pay my taxes in Fishkill, sir. I resent that remark.
Okay.
Okay? That's like...
You spoke for about half an hour.
Yeah, I know. I like talking. I'm starting to like you guys.
No,
but my point is, if you rule that this is my property is a soldier's cemetery, is there any way I can fight this in court? The process that you're going through? This is not a normal process, is it? I'd like an answer, because you're putting it on my property. So you could just go put it on my property and I have no due process. Is that what you're telling me?
You have multiple New York City lawyers that have been dealing with this for the last 20 years. You really need that answer?
I'm asking you if this process...
I don't know.
That's why I'm asking the attorney.
Yep.
Mr. Nugent?
No answer.
Okay, so, all right. I appreciate that and the lack of response.
It was over a half hour that you were able to speak. You're welcome. Anybody else? Come on. You're allowed to speak, no presentation. You're not going to be allowed to put those up.
Thank you to the board for allowing me to speak. My name is Glenn Byron. I'm a longtime Fishkill and East Fishkill resident and a member of the Fishkill Historical Society. There is new evidence which has come to light regarding the original location of the DAR monument and an important overlooked detail that no one has ever talked about until this day. Please keep an open mind. While this new evidence is circumstantial, it's intriguing nonetheless, and I'd like to make it part of the record of the town's history. So briefly, in 1911, because of the introduction of the horseless carriage, New York State was in a transitional period. But the vast majority of rural roads were still unpaved, consisting of dirt, gravel, or stone, macadam, that required constant maintenance, including filling in the ruts, smoothing out the surfaces, and packing down with dirt and pebbles. Paved roads were not yet the standard. Walls on the side of the roads were made from collected stones and rocks found in the local area and piled on top of each other. They were round or oblong and had various shapes. Chiseled stones, on the other hand, had right angles, which are not natural, not in nature, and were reserved for mile markers, gravestones, and monuments. Last July, I made a presentation where I presented evidence showing the DAR monument was located on the west side of Route 9, the very sign that I have here that you are preventing me from showing you again. This was in the general vicinity of the McDonald's restaurant, where the McDonald's restaurant now exists, with the front of the monument facing south. When the road was widened in 1911, the straight angles of the old post road were made to be curved in order to accommodate the flow of the motor car as well as the horse-driven carriages. Road workers were then inclined to move the DAR monument to the east side of the road by the corner of Van Wyck Lake Road. The front of the monument then faced west. Let's look again at the topographical evidence. This is the spatial arrangement of the site, the hills, the roads, and the physical structures describing the lay of the land. So what's the overlooked detail? This is the postcard from 1905. Again, I have it here in large format, but you're preventing me from showing it to you. We already talked about the cleft in the tree line, which matches the cleft from Van Wyck Lake Road. But the overlooked detail is, where did the foundation blocks go? Everybody's been concentrating on the DAR monument, but there are foundation blocks as well, and they were chiseled. This is another angle of the same photograph, of the same spot. There again are the chiseled foundation blocks, which were put around a raised flower bed, presumably to plant flags and plant flowers in the memorial. This is from the 1950s. There is a hint of the foundation wall. And this is from 1923, which is a hint of the foundation wall again on Van Wyck Road. This is the current road. Here's Van Wyck Lake Road. And right over here, I want you to pay attention to the location of the McDonald's restaurant. This is the 1911 survey map that the New York State Department of Transportation put together. This dot represents the mile marker, where the line of the road, which was straight, that blue line represents the straight old post road, which has a corner over here, which I contend is where the DAR monument stood originally. When they took out the straight road and they curved the road, everything changed because they had to move the DAR monument. This is an aerial access view from the Dutchess County Clerk's office. On the right is the 2025 aerial view. On the left is a 2014 aerial view. In this corner, you can see there's a little dot, which I've blown up in the next slide. That dot is the DOT marker, the same marker location as on the 1911 map. This is the actual marker itself, 8D181. The map in 1911 said 120 plus 81. So I know from New York State that the 8D refers to Dutchess County and this region of the road. If we now look at a 1936 aerial photograph of this parallelogram opposite where the DOT marker is, sorry, go back. This is an undeveloped area in that aerial photograph. This rectangle, or parallelogram, is where the McDonald's restaurant currently is. If you now fast forward through all the aerial photographs from the 1940s, this is where McDonald's is now. This is the same current overview. This is 1955, again undeveloped. And then 1962, undeveloped. And then we jump to 1970. So again, on the right is 2025, on the left is 1970. There's the development going on. And again, there's the parallelogram where the McDonald's restaurant would be, and the parking lot, which was now being cleared. And I come into a detail. If you look at the detail, there's the parallelogram. All the rocks and boulders were pushed over. And then, where did those rocks go? They were pushed to the side of the road on the east side of Route 9. If you take a close look at those rocks, they're not boulders. Many of them are not boulders. They have right angles. You get a closer look, you can see the chisel marks in those rocks. You can see the rectangular basis for their shape. As I said, nature does not give right angles. So what are those blocks? I contend that the original foundation blocks of the DAR monument. That's my conclusion.
Thank you. I just advise the board members to go to the intersection of Route 9 and Van Wyck Lake Road. You can still see those rocks on the corner. Move the leaves around and you'll see where they are.
Mr. Byron, for our town record, could you send a copy of those photos or any presentation that you have to us by email?
Thank you very much for pointing that out. Thank you for pointing that out. That was good information.
Thank you.
So those that granite foundation still can be seen. You can also see it on parcel access. I think there might be 3 of those stones still in that corner. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Anybody else like to speak about the project, about the
general
privilege of the floor? Any? Okay, that ends that. Mr. Russ, you don't want to say anything?
Well, I was
You're the last guy. The last citizen, I apologize.
You were going to bring up the Van Wyck Lake Road dumping situation to the board. I was waiting for you to bring it to the board, and then I would comment.
Yeah, so usually on the agenda, under new business, which is toward the end, which will be another 45 minutes, but I don't want you to wait, so go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm addressing an ongoing situation on Van Wyck Lake Road. Just a little history of myself so you know who I am. My name's Russell McCreaney. I live on Van Wyck Lake Road. 14 years living at Willow Lake on Van Wyck Lake Road. Then I moved 7 miles south to Lake Valhalla in Cold Spring. Then I moved back to Lou Warren's estate. I bought his estate 5 years ago, and which is just south of Sharp Reservation. I didn't know if you knew of Lou Warren or not. My wife and I bought that. And so we're very involved, and we love the community. We're locals. We've always been here our entire lives. The ongoing situation is an adjacent neighbor. There was a hoarding situation. His house burned down. I think this was presented to the board by Mr. Albrecht years ago. And now we have a burned out structure that was removed by the board and the town. But now we have burned out vehicles. We have a burned out motor home. We have a 40-foot tractor trailer. We don't know what's in it.
We have multiple vehicles that are abandoned, unregistered. And the dumping is getting worse. We don't know who owns, we're not quite sure who owns, none of the residents know knows who owns the property. So that's a question I have to the board. Do we know who owns the property?
What's the address of that property?
That was the one, you remember last year, we did the the RFP and no one took it?
Yeah.
So that's the same property. They moved one car, and all of a sudden now they're dumping tires in the place. So it's getting worse, and I don't.
People are just doing that probably randomly, maybe.
I think they have a suspect, but we don't know.
We don't know who's dumping. We pretty much, we have a suspicion who the suspect is, but I'm not at liberty to accuse anyone.
Yeah, the key here is we got to get that stuff cleaned out. I'll ask Mr. Nugent later to go through the town code. So we had I think it was, you were here when there was a burned down house, we knocked it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a bunch of cars still left on the property. Then last year, we did an RFP, we did a public hearing to get them to remove it. No one took the RFP, so it's still sitting there. They moved one car, and all of a sudden they put like 30 old car tires in there. So can you review the town code to see what we can do? Can we clean it up ourselves and lean it to the property? I just don't know what to do.
Well, yeah, we can take a look. Usually it's property maintenance, but I don't look at your
and I think
section.
we have a property maintenance, and the question is, somebody backed in a tractor trailer, the trailer itself, and it's big. And I don't know how the hell we get that.
That tractor trailer was backed in 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. Let me ask you a question just for general purposes. Because did we, during that earlier time that we were looking into this and passed a resolution, do we know who presently owns the property at all?
I think Joel told me the bank owned it. I just, because we've been writing tickets to it for the violation.
Can I interject?
So let me finish this thought.
Sure.
I mean, if we got no action the first time and we're doing this again, I'll present this to you, is there a way, therefore, if no one claims ownership of it, that we can take ownership of it and then sell it off to pay for the debt of all the cleanup that we would have to do as a town? Is that
Talking about selling the property, that like the trailers and things?
So let's say it costs us 30 grand to clean up the site.
Right.
Can we take the land for the 30 grand, or do we lean it to the property when they sell it again?
I don't think you'd be able to take it, but I mean, you do have property maintenance that allows you to, you have to have the public hearing and then order it
We have to have a
to be
public
cleaned.
hearing?
But if they don't clean it, you can hire to take care of that. Usually that would then be assessed as a lien on the property. So if and when it's eventually sold, you will collect. You'd collect it as a tax, basically.
That would be the property maintenance violation procedure that we've gone through in the
following
past?
the property maintenance violation.
Okay, so we did that last year. You want to try it one more time?
Yeah, I mean, I can look at what you did, but probably would need to do that again. And usually your code would require a public hearing.
Okay, so Cooper, put on
First
the
you need,
agenda.
I shouldn't say this, first you need a report from the building inspector. That's step one.
Okay.
Who reports to you on the property violation. Then you would set the public hearing and person would have the opportunity to come here if anybody shows up.
That's what we did before, and someone showed up, they had to.
Then you would issue an order, directing it to be done.
There was a guy that showed up.
Yeah, then you would direct it by a certain date that it be cleaned up, and if it doesn't happen, then you could also,
Okay.
at the same time, direct the town would then take action to
Which
clean
is a
it up.
complete repeat of what we did.
But we let the RFPs go.
Yeah.
Well, is the RFP still active? Do we even have to do that?
That I don't know, because I wasn't here, so I'd have to
Is
look.
there a time period where we have to act on it?
You put out an RFP for the property to be cleaned?
Yes. We did the whole thing. We did the public hearing. We
It
gave the
doesn't
announcement.
expire, but if you didn't actually award it to anybody, you probably have to do that again if it was a year ago or more.
It was a year.
But your code, I just looked, does allow you to assess and collect the costs the same way you would collect a tax.
And could we send that bill to the bank if that's who owns it?
They would put a lien on it, right?
Yeah, but again, you would collect it as a tax, so if they don't tax, then it's gonna go to
Oh, so we
foreclosure.
make that anyway.
What's that?
We're made whole anyway. We're made whole anyway.
Yes, in other words,
That's
you're
the
gonna
point.
collect it, and if they don't pay the taxes, then eventually the land's
It's
gonna be
understood.
foreclosed on by the county, and you would get paid by them.
Okay, so I'll work with Joel to.
Does that help you?
I have some questions,
So,
go ahead.
well, what we're gonna do is, if no one does the RFP, I think you said I can ask the highway department to clean it up. How can I do that?
Well, yeah, once we have the report, then ultimately the board would direct the cleanup. But it could be your highway department, depending on what the work is, yes. You could
Gotcha.
either contractors or your highway department, whatever you determine is best.
And that
in
would be
terms
after
of
the RFP
cleanup.
if no one took the RFP at that time.
If what?
If no one took the RFP at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna have to reissue the RFP and do the process again.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
But this time, follow through and order the cleanup and have it done. And
Has
then
enough time
assess it.
elapsed that we would need to issue a new
He said-
violation, or
he
we
said
can
yes.
simply?
I would just do the whole process again,
Okay.
make it clean.
All right, so what do you need from Joel? You need a letter of inspection, what was that?
He needs to present to the town board, I mean, I can tell you how it reads, but basically, he would prepare a report. If he believes it's maintained in violation of the chapter, he does an inspection, submits a written report to the town board of his findings, and then basically, he would be making the recommendation on what needs to be done to bring the property into compliance.
So
Public
how-
hearing, and then you would issue the order
Yeah.
if you accept his recommendation.
So what could be a good discussion item for the next meeting? Just what is it, 448?
Well, I don't even know that you need to wait till the next meeting for you to, either you do a resolution just directing the building inspector to inspect the property and provide a report under the property maintenance code.
That's been done.
Does that take a resolution, or can Ozzy just ask him?
You could do that, I mean, if you've got a complaint. If it's already been done, then give us the report.
All we need is a letter from Joel, from the building inspector?
It's a report to the board on the property maintenance, and then his recommendation on what needs to be done to bring it into compliance.
Okay. And then we go into the public hearing, well, first we give notice. If they don't respond to the notice, then we set the public hearing. Then we close the public hearing. If they issue the RFP, if no one takes the RFP, then we can act on our own.
Yes, initially you'll give a time period, even though
Yeah.
they may not respond for them to do it. If not, then you would go ahead by RFP or by your highway department, whatever you decide to clean up the property.
Okay, your RFP was issued twice last time.
Yes.
No one responded either time.
Correct.
So we can anticipate you'll get the same response again. That's the anticipation that I'm expecting. If that's if you think someone's going to respond again this time, that's your privilege, but it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to respond a third time after a third issue.
Well, I won't, if we
You won't
do-
know that until you issue it.
If we issue the RFP, we'll wait for the first time, and we'll move on to the second part.
Okay,
We
secondly.
won't do it a second time.
Secondly, no one here knows who owns that property. We should know who owns that property first.
I'm pretty sure the bank owns it, but
Well,
I'm not
that's a
100%.
pretty sure, you're saying pretty sure.
I'll check on that.
The residents of Van Wyck Lake Road want to know that you know who owns the property.
You have your internet on?
Yeah.
Can you go to Dutchess County Parcel Access and type in, what is it, 448?
I don't know the number. You have it on
Yeah.
Don's email. Do you have it with you?
My phone's in my office.
Okay. He put the address on it.
Yeah.
I think it's 460. No, I'm not, I'm
Well,
460.
does somebody just want to email me the parcel, and, or do we?
Because
Do you have Dutchess County Parcel Access up right now?
I can bring it up,
Put
yeah.
put the map up? I know
you
where it
would
is.
be able to easily find it.
Yeah.
It's the first property south of, east of Sharp Reservation.
All right, let's, scroll down to that. Go down. Sorry, I'm trying to go around that. Van Wyck Lake Road. Hold on.
Yeah, you can see.
Okay, that's not, go this way. Go down here a little more. A little more. All right, this way.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Let me see. Hey, Russ,
Yeah.
come here. Find out right now.
Yeah, one of the first things would be, have the taxes been paid on the property? Whoever paid the taxes
Okay,
might be the owner.
here's the map right here. Let's see. Here's the bend.
Where's my house?
Which one are you?
Where's the road? Is
Right
this
here,
the
Van
road?
Wyck Lake Road right here. That's what it says.
And we're going towards Connecticut that way?
And that is East Fishkill right here. So the property, I think, is this guy right here.
It's this one?
Okay.
Yeah,
No, that's not it. It's this one here.
that's that one then. Oh, yeah. No, that's done, that's,
No? For Sheriff, maybe it's more to the right. West Hook.
no, you're back here.
Okay. No, it's East Fishkill.
This
East
is,
Fishkill.
We'll
East
return to the
Fishkill.
board meeting shortly.
East Fishkill. Maybe this little guy.
We're having a slight committee meeting, everyone.
I'm trying to find mine.
This is Joanne Tedesco.
These are mine, this is mine, this is.
How about them Cowboys?
Where's Tedesco? Right there, that's it.
Dallas, obviously.
That's it.
I would
If it
have to
says
assume I
Tedesco,
don't
it's
think we
not.
have any of the other
It's
kind of
436.
Well, I used to be one.
I think it's more than one lot.
Used to be a cowboy.
You from the south or the west?
Hanson?
Texas.
That's John.
That's John. So he's right next
This
door.
guy
You
right
learned to
here?
rope and ride.
I did.
There's a house on
Wearing
it.
your six-shooter, riding your pony on a cattle drive.
I had one.
What's this?
For a sheriff on?
I had a holster and the whole deal.
It's not even on the map.
It's gotta be on the map.
357. I was pretty good at it.
This
But,
is Zeller.
We'll just
It's-
entertain
it's-
people out there
it's-
with side
There's a
conversations.
house on
Yeah.
it.
But,
Well,
no, that's
a
why
picture.
Dozens of people
No,
are tuning in.
that's not on the
That's
map.
why I thought, you know,
It's right on the
I could do that
but there's no house
auxiliary
on it.
thing on horseback in the
House
park.
on that.
You know, I got on there just like riding Western, and that horse was like,
All right, I'm gonna have to look
no,
into it.
no,
I'll
we
get
don't
back to
ride
you.
that way on my
Yeah,
back.
I mean,
Horses tend to win that
is
argument.
anybody paying taxes on it?
He
If
didn't,
not,
he
should be
didn't,
coming to
he
you.
did not.
When a horse has a quarrel with a rider, the
Close and
horse
sell it.
usually wins.
All right, Russ, thanks.
He'd not set
get you
the
that- I'll get
flight,
that
Yeah, give me the
but it
parcel
came
number and
close.
figure it out.
All right, that's it for privilege of the floor. Let's see what else we got here. Liaison member reports, you got anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment. The gentleman was not a town of Fishkill resident, but was significant in our town. Vincent Richards was a musician in the U.S. Army Band out of Fort Knox and then the U.S. Army Reserves. Many Fishkill residents will know him as a gentleman who has played taps and other bugle calls at county events, at town events, at Memorial Day ceremonies, at the Fishkill Rural Cemetery and elsewhere. I had the privilege of meeting Vinny when I was a middle school student through the Hudson Valley Boy Scout Council Band, of which I was a member. And as trumpet players, we bonded, and he taught me quite a bit. I was very sad in the past couple of weeks to learn of his passing at the age of 80. I just wanted, on the behalf of all the residents of Fishkill, whose patriotic experiences and observances were enhanced by his musical talent, to send my condolences and theirs to his wife Althea, and to all of the family and friends who are lost by his passing. That's all I have.
Thank you, Greg, it was good, man.
Very good man.
Don?
Nothing today, no.
Brian?
I know we, obviously, we want to extend to the Denisak family our condolences, there's no doubt. And his good service to the town of Fishkill. But I also want to just say Sharon Mitchell, who used to be our comptroller, her mother passed recently, and I'm very sorry about that, and want to extend the board's condolences as well. I did go to the Easter egg hunt. I, this year, refrained from hunting Easter eggs. No, I'm kidding. But no, it was magnificent. My hat's off to the rec department doing another fabulous job. The weather was perfect. The crowd was huge. And we had some buildings and grounds staff there doing a great job as well. So, and as well as the police cadets, as well as some police officers. It's a major event, and I think it was loved by everyone. I am going to be attending the Fishkill Historical Society's dinner on Saturday at the Rombout. I know that's new business, but I'm just saying now,
Sure.
Anybody who would care to support the Fishkill Historical Society, it's a moneymaker, money that they need to keep forging forward. And in keeping with tonight's presentation, I think it's a good thing to, attend and look up their website and get in touch with those people. And my last note is happy birthday, Herbie Hancock. I'm a huge fan. Thank you.
Oh, well done. All right, so I just have an update on the Cafe Spice. I talked to the mayor. A councilman for that ward contacted one of the citizens that live in the area. So we'll see what happens from there, okay?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
I have one extra follow-up. I forgot about this. At our last meeting, I was asked to reach out to to Assemblyman Bepan's office regarding the Red Schoolhouse property. His office was kind enough to reach out to the DEC, who we understand to be the owners of the property. They categorically deny owning it and insist that it is still the property of the Beacon City School District. So Beacon City says it belongs to DEC, DEC says it belongs to Beacon, and can we eminent domain it at this point?
Can
I mean,
we
if there are
claim
two
to
property
it?
owners who claim that they don't own it?
That's the only way we're going to find out who owns it, Brian, is by doing eminent domain.
Well, I'll have to go back, we kind of picked up with the understanding that it was DEC, so.
Right.
We'll have to go back and.
It is entirely possible that DEC does own it and they don't know it.
Yeah, I think the conversation before that was actually the state education department, and they're the ones that said it was DEC.
Right.
Yes, because Mr. Gaba had to go back to the 1950s for the deeds in Albany.
Yeah, I think I have his legwork on that, so we can
so it's
take a
not,
look.
the school district doesn't own it.
Right. Yeah, the
if-
school
if the-
district would have given it to the state education department, which would have then directed it into the DEC, except it appears that the DEC didn't get that memo. They didn't even get the memo that it ever stopped belonging to the Beacon City School District.
Well, that didn't exist back then, so.
All right.
I'd like to get the land.
Yeah, let me take a look at it, because I, again, was just at the point, we got involved was just to get a contact at DEC with the understanding they owned it. If they don't, then let me take a fresh look at it, and yeah, I guess we can try to pursue that, but we might have to do some public notices or something, notify all interested parties and
It's a pain.
go that route.
All right. Well, what if the DEC says they don't own it and Beacon gives us a letter, they say they don't own it? Can we take ownership?
Well,
of it?
look, at the end of the day, I think we'd give notice to any property owners of record, and if they deny ownership, then, we'll have to.
I say we head over there with some tents and some campfire equipment and just live there for a few weeks and claim adverse possession.
Yeah,
At this point,
we might have to get into a more in-depth
That seems
conversation
faster.
of why they claim they don't own it, if we have records that
Okay.
they do, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm not sure of how much detail there is about this,
Okay.
education and DEC ownership.
All right.
Yeah, I wish that I could give you a more useful update.
Well,
but-
at least
The
it's an
journey, the
update.
journey continues.
Mhm.
Okay, I told you about Cafe Spice. Next up is the public hearing for the, on the cable franchise renewal agreement between the town of Fishkill and Verizon, New York. Mr. Nugent, give us a little update of why we have to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do that yet. Go on, Mr. Nugent.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so this is an existing franchise in the town of Fishkill, but this is a renewal of the Verizon franchise, and this is basically for cable purposes, similar to Altice Cablevision, same idea, except this is Verizon, so this is a renewal. They have to have a franchise agreement with the municipalities in which they provide services. So essentially, it's largely the same agreement. We did make some changes, which they accepted in the agreement that's before you. And this would go for a 5-year period, and then there would be another grant for PEG, public access, to the town. In terms of payments, as I mentioned to Councilman Ryan in the discussion, these franchises are limited. There's a 5% gross receipts, so it's not like you have a whole lot of room to negotiate, but we did make changes to the provisions that we could negotiate just for beneficial terms for the town.
Excellent.
So if you did have any questions, I do have a phone number for Pam Goldstein at Verizon, who we've worked with, if you wanted to speak to her about any specific questions.
Very good. All right, so I make a motion to open up the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody from the public with any questions?
We do need to vote to.
We need a vote.
I asked for a second.
I
All in
second
favor?
it. Aye.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on this? Anybody in the public? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, closed. All right. Next up is discussion to hire Sean Cadden for the position of seasonal labor. Everybody okay with that?
He's good.
The next is Judge Rich needs a clerk. Everybody okay with her?
Yep.
The next up is number 3, noise. So every year around this time period, I get a noise complaint. We don't have a noise decimeter. So Brian, can you review our noise ordinance to where we can use, to have the town buy a noise meter and start enforcing that?
You can do it. You would just need to really, ideally amend the code, because you have to have standards, on the decibels.
You have to have a public hearing, right?
Yeah, in other words, you would amend your noise code. Right now, you kind of have one of the old, earlier versions of what's reasonable. A lot of
Yeah.
those noise ordinances have been shot down because it's always reasonable to who?
Yep.
When it comes to noise. So while there's a cost involved and you have the decibel meter, it is a better version of a noise ordinance when you're going to court, because now you have an actual reading typically taken at the property line, and you have an actual decibel, reading for that. As your code's written now, I took a look at it today, it's got kind of a lot of the old problematic language about, if it disturbs the comfort of others or
Yeah.
reasonable, very loose language that over the years courts have shot down as being too vague or not defining a proper standard. So if you go forward with the decibel meter, we would revise the code to incorporate, the measurements at property lines. And this way, it also doesn't really matter as much what noise it is, but rather that it's, excessive or outside the property boundary.
Understood. You guys okay with that?
Yeah, I think if we need to get a resolution here so we can look at what's the norm today and get it on the books.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to change it to use the decibel meter however you see fit.
Yeah, so we would basically...
Give us a recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, we draft an ordinance with the decibel, revised. So you already have the chapter for noise, so we'd be amending that chapter of your code. It's not zoning, it's just a police power amendment, so there's no, secra and none of that
Can
involved.
we get it to where not only the police can enforce it, the bill inspector can also enforce it?
Sure, that's up to you.
Is there any other, can elected officials enforce that?
Well, it would be unusual for that.
You've never seen that?
I've never seen
All right,
that. It's
forget
usually either building code or police, and then
Okay.
usually there's some basic training on the decibel meter
Okay.
and
But sometimes there's like a construction site, they come in 6 in the morning and start it. I wouldn't call the cops, I would call the billing guy, bill inspector to do it.
yeah, well,
So-
something like that, by the way, if it's, that's a little easier because if they're doing construction, you can see that in addition to the
Understood.
noise issue. But you're more dealing here with loud music complaints or things that, is it too loud, basically? So instead of you saying, I think it's loud, and you say, it doesn't really bother me, now you have a, measurement that's not subjective, that you can use in court. But if you want, I could provide you kind of a draft version that has the decibels, so let
Yes.
you take a look at that first before you decide, and then if you like it, you could just basically set a public hearing
Okay.
and go through the normal code amendment process.
How long you need for that?
Let's do that.
I could pull a draft for you in very short order.
Next meeting?
Yeah, before that, I could probably send it to you.
Okay.
And then you can kind of look at it and say, we like it, we don't like it, and then decide if you want to move forward with the public hearing process.
So I'm good with the decibel, whatever you decide, and the police and the bill inspector
Okay.
enforcing it.
Sounds good.
Okay, guys? Thank you, gentlemen.
Supervisor, do you
Yes,
want me
sir.
to table this conversation or close it out for now?
So in order to do the public hearing, we have to do a resolution to set the public hearing, right?
Yeah, but I would do that after you've received it and you've kind of had a chance to look at it.
Okay.
So you have the law in hand, and, then you would say, all right, this is what we want to do, let's set a public
May
hearing.
6th meeting.
May 6th? Okay.
Yep, table it to the May 6th, and when we get the draft, we'll add it to that discussion item.
Okay.
All right. Next up is discussion about a district tenant request for Fishkill Medical Park. They want to hook into the Snook well field. So this is the one that's on Snook Road. That's adjacent to the Van Wyck Historical Society. We have our Snook well field, and it goes up Snook. So that site was going to be a not-for-profit church at one time, then a high-density housing development. We got it down to a couple office buildings for medical, so it'll be basically Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And they want to hook into this Snook well field, which we owned. And I'd like the board to consider a yes on that. Is everybody okay with that?
I am. I actually talked to Camo just to get an idea of what kind of water capacity we have and water use that we're talking about. We have storage, ongoing storage of 1 million gallons, okay? Peak use in the district right now is 160,000 gallons a day. You need to have twice that to make sure that you have plenty for the district. We have 1 million, so we're more than twice that. And this development wants to use at a high peak, about 7,000 gallons of water a day. So we're still going to have plenty of water left over. This seems like a reasonable request.
Yeah, the storage capacity was one of the reasons why we had 2 water districts under remedial action by the health department, this one and Brickerhoff. And one was capacity for Brickerhoff, and we built an interconnection. It was priced out around 5.6 million. We got it down to about 1.1, and we use that as capacity. And it's pretty clever. If the water goes out on one district, we can just press a button and the water comes back from the other district based on the capacity on the tank. So it's a really efficient use of taxpayer dollars getting this done, and we do have the capacity to let these guys in.
We put a lot of ARPA funding towards that too, didn't
Well,
we?
we budgeted about 1.1 million. I think we're going to be right at that, so it's probably going to be zero cost to taxpayers.
Fantastic.
So it's done already. I just haven't got a chance to get there yet
Mhm.
to take a nice picture and give it to everybody.
That's great.
Yeah, so we saved and not only that, we saved the residents $5.6 million. We prevented the need to build a reverse osmosis plant, and they run between $5 and $15 million. So this board has done its due diligence protecting the taxpayer dollars. Okay, so we're done.
On this, just real quick, I'm very glad to know that the proposed development for that parcel will not be high-density housing, will not be
Correct.
hotel event space or anything like
Yep.
that. It's going to be medical park, so that will bring jobs. It brings a much-needed, healthcare to Fishkill residents, and I'm looking forward to cooperating to help that happen.
Yeah,
So
like I
that's
said,
something that I'll be in support of.
it was supposed to be a Oasis Church for one time, off the tax rolls, high-density housing, which no one wants in that area. And I think this is a great compromise, a great idea. The developer is building it as a right, and he's been nothing but cooperative to the town, and I wish him nothing but success. Next up is discussion of budget modifications to increase the park expenditures, parkland capital, outlay for increase for some equipment, so they just moved some budget lines to get this equipment. Everybody okay with that?
Good.
Next up is discussion to resolution authorize Vanderbilt Water for a tax cert for 1921 Old Main. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, it sucks. The next one for AEY Holdings, everybody okay with that? The same thing?
Yep.
Then a resolution to hire the 3 police officers and promote the 3 sergeant. Everybody okay with both of those?
Absolutely, both of those.
Privilege of the floor for for agenda items. Nobody there. Make a motion to accept the consent agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Items for special consideration, we have 3. Let's do the court clerk. You have the resolution. Thank you, sir. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby appoint Jenny Downey to the position of clerk at the rate of $29 per hour, subject to approval by the Department of Human Resources, and be it further resolved, the town supervisor and his authorized designee be and are hereby authorized to direct and take all necessary actions and convenient to give full effect of this resolution, and further resolved, this resolution shall take effect immediately. I present it as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is defense lady litigation. So this is if you watch the meetings, the fence issue on Route 9D by Magnolia. We've come to a resolution where she's going to move the fence. I got to sign the contract, so now therefore be it resolved, all whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference as set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby approves the settlement agreement and release in the form presented to the town board, and authorizes the supervisor to execute the settlement agreement and release as proposed and approved by the town legal counsel, Drake Loeb, PLLC, in the litigation entitled Town of Fishkill versus Rodriguez in Dutchess County Court under index number 2024-54058. Section 3, the town board authorized Drake Loeb to file a stipulation of discontinuance with Dutchess County Supreme Court in said litigation once all actions within the settlement agreement have been complied by the defendants. Section 4, the resolution shall be effective immediately. I present it as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we got the Verizon as the last one, right? Franchise agreement for Verizon. We're going to agree to this. So this is the Verizon contract. All whereas clauses are hereby incorporated by reference as set forth fully herein. Section 2, the town board hereby approves the franchise agreement as presented to the town board by Verizon New York, Inc., and authorizes supervisor to execute all documents necessary to finalize the franchise agreement and present to the town board in full final form, approved by legal counsel. Section 3, the supervisor or any officer, employee, or consultant as directed by the supervisor are authorized to take any and all necessary actions to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. I present it as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. New and old business, Greg?
None.
Don?
I'm good.
Brian?
0, go.
Okay. Next town board meeting is what, May 6th?
May 6th.
26.
No executive session. Make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. All right, less than 2 hours.